Well, hey, elementary parents, Pastor Brandon here, sending you guys another overview video. A few weeks ago, I told you guys that we were going to be teaching a lesson in the new year on the gender identity. And so I wanted to communicate the information in regards to that video to you guys now. So remember with these videos, the intent is to partner with you guys, knowing that you are the primary disciplers in your home. The idea is that you get these before we ever teach this, so that you have a conversation, and we are reinforce it when we teach it um, the week later. Or whatever the time frame ends up coming out to be. But the idea is that you have the conversations first, and then we are reinforcing it when they come to church. Oh, you know what? That's the same thing that my mom or my dad or my grandparents, that's what they shared with me. So we're just reinforcing what you've already had a conversation with them about. So let's talk about this lesson. I try to keep these videos quick. This one may be a little bit longer because I'm actually going to go through a little bit more details than I typically do in the other videos. It's usually just a broad brush, but I'm going to actually zero in on some of this information because I want you to know exactly what we're going to talk to your kids when it comes to gender identity. This lesson is called Wonderfully Made. So you're going to have the outline of kind of what the snapshot is of the lesson. And then you're also going to have this time. We typically don't include this, but this is our actual lesson information, what we actually specifically teach and communicate, and we study in regards to preparation. So you're going to have that. And then this lesson is going to be teaching from the creation story. So Genesis 1, chapter 1, 2, and 3. So I'll specifically kind of hit on some of the verses as I go through this. But the verse is going to be Psalm 139, verse 14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. The main point that we're going to basically hammer home with the kids is that God created you and me exactly how we're meant to be. So let me give you just some more information. The issue of gender identity is one that, man, it attacks our kids in so many different ways, in so many different angles. The culture tells them that you can be whatever gender you want to be. If you're unhappy with your biological sex, you can just change it and choose to be whatever you want to be. Choose to be the opposite sex if you'd like to. But in the wake of that, what do you think that does to our kids? Obviously, they're probably confused. The teenagers are the same way, and their friends, they're experiencing this. Maybe they aren't actually going through some of these thoughts or feelings, but their friends are. And so they're confused. What do I do? How do I handle this? And so this is going to be something I think that helps them. We haven't actually taught or communicated this from this perspective to our kids. Before. So this is going to be great. So we need to help them address this issue. And the church can't run from that. You know, Radiant, we have not run from this issue or shied away from talking about it. But we're going to talk about it here. So we wanted to equip you with this. So what we're going to do is that we need to boldly proclaim the word of God over them and teach them what that is and how God created them. And so in this lesson, the children will learn from the creation story that every boy and every girl is a masterpiece created in the image of God. So he carefully created and crafted and formed them in their mother's womb. And that was God's plan from the beginning, was to be male and female in his image. Okay, so now let me get down to the specifics of this lesson. Like I said, you're going to have this lesson attached, and we're going to be teaching from Adam and Eve's huge mistake. So what you'll see in there is page 11 in the actual lesson. If you scroll down, it says the Bible story. There's pictures that are here, and then this is the actual story. So you could even look over this and kind of read it and then go through the creation story with them, just addressing it. And then if you flip just past the Bible story, pages 12, 13, and 14, there's something that's labeled call to action. This is our object lesson where we make an application between the Bible story and something that can be applicable to where they're currently at in their life. Okay, so in this one, there are 3 points. The first one is God created male and female in his image. So we're going to talk about Genesis 1:27 there, where it talks about God created human beings in his own image, male and female, he created them. And so we're going to talk to that, like the differences between a male and a female. Now, don't worry, we're not going to be talking about like the parts that are only specific to males and only specific to females. We're not going to mess with that. But if you feel led to have the conversation about that, that's a lot of that's obvious with our kids. But if you feel led, absolutely do that. But we're going to talk about how God created men in their own ways, meaning not that men are more superior to women, but men were created stronger. They were built different. And then women were built stronger in different ways. Women were built to have babies. And man, thank the Lord, men can't do that because we can be babies sometime. But all of that to say, we're going to focus on teaching that, how there's the specific differences when it comes to that. And then the second point that we're going to teach is changing the outside doesn't change the inside. So we're going to use an object lesson with 2 cans of soup. One will be a tomato soup. One will be chicken noodle soup. And if you want to do this at home, you can. Again, we're going to just be reinforcing this if you end up doing it. But if you don't, it's perfectly fine. But we're going to talk about, well, what if I was tomato soup and I wanted to take the label and change who I was and become, as tomato soup, become chicken noodle soup. And I move the label and I'm now on the outside, you see me as chicken noodle soup. But when you open the can, what's going to be on the inside? Right, it's going to be tomato soup still. So on the inside, we're still created the same way God created us. Just because we changed what our outward appearance looks like doesn't change who we actually are underneath. God created us the way he specifically wanted us to be at our birth. And that's, if you're at birth, you're male. At birth, you're a female. That's the idea here, okay? So let me keep going. There's a whole lot more in here, but I want to be respectful of your time. Go through and read this and look at this. The last one is this. God's plan is the best plan. So remember our Bible story. We're going to reference back to Adam and Eve in this area, and we're going to talk about, remember, Adam and Eve thought that their plan was better than God's. And so they went against what God told them to do. Even though Satan deceived them, they still made a choice, right? So in the same way, when you think your thoughts, your feelings, they're more important than God's plan for your life, things won't go well. If you go against the way God created you, you go against the way God's plan was for your life, things are not going to end well. You might think, this is just a thought in here, and I'll say this and I'm going to get ready to wrap it up. You might think, well, I'll be happy if I just go with my thoughts and feelings and what they're telling me. I should change my gender, then I'll be happy. Remember, going against God's plan never turns out well. It won't bring happiness. And so we're just going to wrap it up there, and then there's some more things that we'll say and communicate, and we'll pray with the kids. We'll pray for the children to always trust God's plan for their life and not try to go on their own. And so that's the overview for this lesson, and a little bit more details and specific. Remember, you're going to have these attached. So again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please reach out if you have questions. If there's things that you would like to ask us and you're like, well, how do I have this conversation? Please reach out to one of us on the Rad Kids staff. We'd love to partner with you and help you in this conversation. And again, I hope you have a great Christmas and a great New Year's, and we'll see you at church.